children that are trying to live their best life. All right, again, I'm going to give you the greetings. My name is Sister Khalida Akbar. I live currently in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a mother of 5 children, all who are now young adults. And so I'm very passionate about making sure that families have opportunities to live their best life. And in the African American community, we have a situation where many of our households are 2-parent, but some of them are single parent homes. And even in that situation, we want our families to be able to look at community resources and find the best solution for their situation. So if you're just joining us, go ahead and put your looking at the chat. I see about 1 comment. Everyone, I would like for you to return the greetings in the chat. That gives me a record of who attended, and it gives me a record of who to follow up with special incentives and resources. All right, alhamdulillah. So, all right, so let's go on. If you look at the welcome slide, it gives the greetings, which means, may the peace and blessings that only Allah can give be with you. Again, the reference to Ramadan Mubarak is our holy month of Ramadan. It's the first day of Ramadan. So we are increasing in knowledge. We are allowing Allah to guide us, and we are trying to be of service any way we can. I know myself, I was sitting there just waiting in the last 2 prayers yesterday for Ramadan to come in and wanted to be in the masjid, sitting on the floor, waiting. And mashallah, we did get that call that it was in fact Ramadan. So I'm grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be here another year. The topic today is family planning in regards to housing and looking for suitable housing for your family. And also I highlighted one specific organization this time, and you'll see it on the next slide, because it has a lot of opportunities. Not only does it have opportunities for education, it also has opportunities to furnish your home and also buy very nice and sometimes often very new clothing at a very reasonable price for families. All right. And so let's go to the next slide. We said education and affordable housing, because we're going to educate you today about some resources in the community, and we hope that you enjoy. All right, that's right. I had put this slide in because I wanted to reference the Holy Quran first. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Proclaiming, if your parents, your children, your siblings, your spouses, your family, the money you have earned, a business you worry about, and the homes you cherish are more beloved to you than Allah and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the striving in his cause, then just wait until Allah brings his judgment. Allah does not guide the wicked people. Sadaqallahu al-Adeen. Surely Allah speaks the truth, and Allah is the Arabic word for God. So I replace that, because that is what we as Muslims call our creator. And again, most of the times the messenger is referring to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May the peace and blessings that only Allah can give be with us all. I mean. So I put this in here because it's very relevant to what we're talking about today. We are striving to be the best that we can be on this material side, but we also know that we keep it in perspective. We're going to talk about some housing opportunities for people to increase their wealth, and also some opportunities for people to increase their career perspectives, and even learn new trades to enhance their income. Even with that, we know that our first source is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we make sure we go to him in prayer. We ask him to guide us in everything we do, and we ask for his blessings, because he is the creator, as we all know, of all systems of knowledge, abundance, and wealth. And so we definitely need that relationship with Allah, and we want to be doing the right thing and also living a righteous life. Okay, so let's go to the next one. The first organization, Goodwill Industries, is one that is very populated here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's offered in a lot of different states. Goodwill Industries provides a lot of opportunities for people who may need to go back to school, may already have a degree, to go back and train without having to pay for that service. Okay, so they have free training, and some of the ones that we are going to hit on today is the Goodwill tuition-free training programs. They have one, an IT support specialist. These are from Charlotte, but they're all over. If you have a Goodwill in your city or state, they have these same services. We are going to look at a few national organizations as well, but however, Goodwill is in more than one city. And many people think of Goodwill, oh, let me just go and see if I'm a thrifter. Let me go see if I find that one very different antique piece of furniture or what have you. And that's a beautiful place to go because people donate, and it's a goodwill, just like we donate our belongings to the Goodwill and we donate money to the Goodwill. People donate very beautiful, rare items there. But on top of that, it is also a resource training center. I know here in Charlotte, they have, and they still have, where they do bank teller training. They also used to do, and I'm sure they still do because I recently researched it, the hotel training, when you see the people that come at the desk and the front desk when you go into some of these very exclusive hotels. Many of them have went through the Goodwill's training program. So they had this situation for decades now. However, they have increased their training. They now have IT support specialists, and you can just read the screen with me. They also have BankWorks, which is bank training in Charlotte and Concord, and also in other states. They have construction and trade skills, which is good because as we look at the demographics in our community, we definitely need more people who are able to get down and build something. We have a lot of white collar and we also need the same blue collar skills in reference to building those model communities because we're going to have skill sets. We're going to have to start having some people go into those areas if we're in fact going to be able to move forward with the blueprint of Amir Worthy, Muhammad Rahim Alaway. Everybody may, you can still do your white collar job, your office job, but also let's look at teaching our young adults and our children to also do those jobs that we see a lot of our Latino families going into because they are able to sustain themselves like that. When you learn a skill or trade, it also gives you an opportunity to do and contribute to make things and contribute to your growth and development in your community without having to outsource or bring in somebody. And we can do more than one thing in life. Like, for example, I can be a teacher, but I also can do some things that are handcrafted. I also can use the gifts and skill sets that Allah gave me to sew clothes, to write poetry, to do some creative things with my students in my classroom environment. So it's just not one thing that we're able to do. So we're encouraging you to go into other avenues and learn a trade as well, especially with the current political status of our country. We're also going to look at commercial carpentry, HVAC systems, electrical, which is, of course, everybody knows what that is, but you need to have someone come out if you have electrical shortages in your house, or you may need someone to come out and look at any type of electrical problem from the air conditioner down to the refrigerator, etc., dishwasher. And I know we had to call for our washer and dryer recently, and it was pretty steep. It wasn't a cheap call. So we need to make sure that if there's an opportunity and you have the time on your hands, if you are a business owner, again, there's tuition-free training for people to learn these skill sets. They also have blueprint reading and estimating. I'm going to post those in the chat. They're hyperlinks. You can hyperlink it yourself because I only have a few moments with you, but you can also look up goodwill.org and you have that same autonomy to research these programs on your own, okay? Okay, so those should be in the chat. And I did hit enter. Oh, you know what it is? I think it's too many words. Let me just do use some of it. That's what happened a couple days ago. Did that send, Brother Edward? Can you see it in your chat? Did any of those links send? For Brother Imam Tariq?
I don't see it currently.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I was asking if you could see the links that I shared in the chat. I think it was too many because it's cut off after a certain amount of keystrokes. So I'll do that little by little, the first three, okay? Okay, so we'll do that at the end. We're gonna move on, okay? And if you're able to do that, you can just go ahead and copy that from your screen and post it in your chat so you can get the hyperlink because we're not gonna open those links up. Just know that Goodwill Industries have several opportunities for you to learn trades. And recently, I got a call from them. They wanted to do a computer programming training course, and but you had to be able to be off. I think it was for 90 days. But I didn't attend that one. But I am looking to further my career, and it could help me in my business outlook because I'm currently planning to open up an organization called Bless. So inshallah, I'll be able to utilize it as well. Let's go to our next slide. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is housing. And we all know that housing has run up tremendously, right? It has been brought out by a lot of, well, not a lot, a few select people who are very wealthy have kind of taken over the housing market, so to speak. They've brought up a lot of properties. I know here in Charlotte. And in addition to that, they're renting them out at exuberant prices. Okay. And so we still need to be able to have affordable housing for our families, and we need to be able to have other options instead of just not being able to sell a house that we're ready to move out of because the pricing market is too high, or not being able to even get a house that we want because the prices are too high. Those are both issues. And then we don't want to live in substandard housing. We want the best for our families. And traditionally, people have had opportunities like Section 8, which is a government funded program. It's not highlighted here because that's pretty much a common one, but it was where you could rent a house. You wouldn't own it, but you could rent a house, and based on your income, the government would pay the landlord a percentage on the first of every month. In some cases, if someone wasn't working, then they would get that whole amount. And that is still, Section 8 is still available. However, there's a lot more opportunities out here for people to apply for affordable housing because that market is the waiting lists are years and years long. And so I wanted to provide some opportunities for you to look into affordable housing. If not for you, if you have maybe a house owner, or you may be somebody who's flipping houses, or even have an Airbnb, that's great. But there's always somebody, get this information and make sure you take notes because this information is relevant to somebody that you know, and you may be able to help someone else. And so I always try to get information that I can share with other people, just to make sure that I am being a good servant of Allah and being a change agent, which is what I was called to do. That's one of my belief systems. So inshallah, we'll go on. Manuel Dugat is a manager at House Charlotte. He is a home ownership advisor. And here are the services that they offer: credit counseling, down payment assistance. I know when I spoke to him, he said for teachers and firefighters and people who serve humanity, I'm pretty sure he said the minimum was like $30,000 down. and down payment assistance that you do not have to pay back. In addition to that, they have specific lenders. And I was just talking to a real estate agent who recently helped my daughter buy her home. And she said that they have up to $90,000 right now in Charlotte with down payment assistance for townhomes. But you have to be in a certain income bracket. She said you couldn't make over 55,000 for one person family, for somebody whose children are grown or you don't have any children. And it was 64,000 for two people. But they have some really, really good deals. She said she only had 4 left, and she told my daughter to share, but they're going fast and they're rare. So stay in the market. If you know any realtors, especially African-American realtors, they're trying to look out. They've been looking out here in Charlotte, and also they refer you to lenders as well. And I can get that information to you. I'm gonna give you my information at the end. I'm not gonna put her information in the chat because she asked for specific people and she's looking for networking. She works through families and she really loved my daughter, Khadijah. Khadijah was on everything. She said she did everything, boom, boom, boom. So the process was easy. And I'm grateful for that. And so she's able to refer people to her and she can assist us with that, inshallah. Again, back to Manuel Dubet. He's with House Charlotte. And the email address is www.cmhp.org or www.hccharlotte.org. Again, they take you through this credit repair series of Zooms, and now I believe it's in person. And then you also have a one-on-one manager that helps you walk through everything. They help you pay off your debts or get organized and do the things that you need to do in order to be house ready is what they call it. But they also teach you about the different aspects of home ownership and purchasing a home. But the best part is once everything is good, and if you're already good, you don't have to go through all those things. If your credit's already ready, you can go straight in and you can get a lender. You don't have to go through each step. It's based off of where the individual is and what their needs are. So just keep that in mind. So that's a resource again. House Charlotte, you can look in your community and see if they have any other resources like we have here in Charlotte. Okay. The next one is Dream Key Partners, same scenario as House Charlotte. They go through that credit check and then they send you to a credit specialist if you need one. They also give you a one-on-one support agent who works with you and your family and helps you pay and repair your credit. They also have incentives for you, and you get together with people of like minds and like nature who are striving to do the same thing for their families. And they have like little incentives and bonuses if you are staying the course and you're attending your classes and if you're networking with your counselor and also completing the required documents and paperwork. They give that to you up front. And it may be a little tedious, but it's worth it. It's not something that cannot be done, but make sure you have all your legal documents in place that you will need, and they give you that information. Of course, you need your social security number. You're gonna, of course, need your tax. If you file taxes, you're gonna need those documents. They give you all that information. Of course, you need your ID. And you need to be able to represent yourself well and supply them with the accurate credit report because they're not going to refer you to a lender until you're ready because they want it to be a quick process because it's a hit or miss. And when they have funds, they really want the people who are ready so they can give those funds and allocate those funds before the opportunities disappear. So just keep that in mind. And the phone number is right here. It's 704-342-0933. And I even included the website and also the address. If you know somebody in Charlotte or maybe thinking of relocate to Charlotte, or you can also call them and ask them for organizations in your city or state that do the same thing. I love this because it says Dream Key Partners approaches the affordable housing crisis holistically. We remain invested throughout the entire journey. Our touch points are deep. We are equipped to develop affordable housing solutions that make sustainable sense for people and neighborhoods. Okay. Oh, it's continued. We offer programs designed to educate individuals and families about home ownership and everyday financial planning, such as budgeting and understanding a credit report. We provide counseling services and help with down payment, financing for first-time home buyers. So a lot of these programs do a lot of the same thing, especially for that down payment for first-time home buyers. Working with others and being in the community is also a critical part of how we deliver. Excuse, what did you say something?
Doing good, sir.
Excuse me?
Appreciate it. Lynn.
Okay, so if you would mute your mic, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, it's just saving yourself and your family just from not having resources. That could be a fire, a feud. It could be straining on individuals and on marriages. And life doesn't always provide the same opportunities for everyone, and everybody does not have the same circumstance. So I am big on finding these resources. I believe that our children are our future. I believe that it will impact the caliber of students that walk through my doors at school. If they have stable living environments and their parents are advocates for their needs and they know the resources in their communities, they can better provide those services and provide a better life for their children. Okay, we're not helpless. Even if you don't have, every parent that I've ever met, even the ones that had very limited resources, wanted the best for their child. And we all want the best for our families. So we're going to be giving you some more information in the future in reference to other resources. And we're going to look at the 4 birds of business, education, culture, and government. And also we're going to talk about inter and interfaith connections, and also building solid relationships with the people we love and know, because those are the ones that connect you with things. And I'm just learning more about that. Even like I told you in the real estate, she wanted someone who was a good client for her, an easy dude. And my daughter's relatively young, she's 30, but she was able to buy her first home, and which is good, and I'm proud of her, especially in today's market. It's recent within this year. And so with that said, we're gonna move right on. What is that? Somebody saying, okay. All right. All right, so next, employees of Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. This is for us. This is for us. If you're a teacher or somebody who works in the school system, you finally realize, hey, our salaries are not that competitive, right? So we need some help. Unless, you know, you have a spouse and you're working together. And even if you have a spouse, you may need some assistance in that area. But many teachers come out of college and they're looking forward to building their careers first. And they don't have a lot to work with initially, like their peers that are going into other fields such as technology. So they are finally looking here in Charlotte. This is a new initiative this year, and it is called At Home in CMS, which represents Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. It is a multi-phase community effort that offers rental opportunities, home ownership, and dedicated educator community for our teachers. Okay, so they're looking at a couple things, not just home ownership, but also having designated condos and areas that are just for teachers that work for Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. And I know we have over 100 plus schools. And we are really excited about that because we want our teachers to be comfortable. We want them to be able to focus more on teaching than, I know a couple teachers that work 2 jobs, Uber throughout the summer and do different things to make those ends meet. But however, teaching is very demanding, and we would rather them have a place, a safe space that they can call home, that they like and love, and so they can grade all those papers and still feel at home in a comfortable space, and they don't feel like they're pressured to at home and it's work. Okay. Then we're gonna go to the next one. We're going to talk about national organizations, okay? I want to talk about Habitat for Humanity. I know this is a common one. Many of us know about it, and you have to put some sweat equity in it. And you can also research it on your own, but it has a belief system that everyone deserves, again, a safe, comfortable place to live, okay? And it is reflected in thoughtful designs, craftsmanship, and expertise. that they put into their house plans. I know here in Charlotte, they have some beautiful homes. They used to have like a formatted home that looked sort of like those old ranch style houses. But they have so many that you can't tell that they're Habitat for Humanity now. They can pretty much, they have a freer design and more variety. And they're in different neighborhoods. You get to pick different neighborhoods. It's not an allocated neighborhood like it used to be. And so it's still relevant. It's something you can look into for Habitat Charlotte region. But Habitat, again, is a national organization that you can look into, and you can make sure that that's something you want to go into. They give you the guidelines of that. Okay. Again, same type of programs. They're a home buyer program, and they offer new build single-family detached homes, new build townhomes, and existing homes. And their website address is here. You can also email them at www.habitatcltregion.org/homebuyer-program-overview/. Slash, not forward slash. Are there any questions before we go to the next slide? We're going to be wrapping it up in just a few minutes. We're going to go on to the next slide, and I thank you for your patience. If you have any questions, you can start putting those in the chat now so we can read them, but we can respond. I'm going to give you my email address so you can pretty much reach out to me if you need to. However, this is pretty much self-explanatory. I'm giving you the links. I'm going to post them inshallah in the chat, and if you don't get them here, if it will not allow me to post it because I tried, then I will, you send me an email and I will send you what I have on this PowerPoint, inshallah. All right. Habitat for Humanity continued. The benefits of owning a Habitat home include improved quality of life through financial stability, an opportunity to build wealth through home value appreciation, affordable mortgage payments that fit your budget, and below market interest rates. That's really good, below market interest rates, because you don't want to be house poor either. I know some people who may be house poor, their mortgage or their rent is really more than 3 times their income. And so inshallah, we're giving you something that you can utilize. First Generation Foundations. This is another national organization, and I loved it because it was very good, and it had a little African-American young man on the front, and he was just happy. He was probably about 6 or 7. But this is not just for African-Americans, it's for everybody. But again, we know there is racial disparity in getting loans from banks. We know that there's racial disparity in pretty much many things here in the United States of America. Even though we have the opportunity to get our education and live our best life, there's still institutionalized racism, and there is still looking out for one another, the red tape, the gentrification. We're going to talk about that at another time, but today we're going to focus on things which you can do. We're trying to empower you to research and get some of these opportunities or resources for yourself, your family, or somebody you know. First Generation Foundations, a guide to advancing equity with first generation home ownership programs. Their website is up here. No, I'm sorry. That's not their website. National Fair Housing Alliance, that's their website. And they're dedicated solely to ending discrimination in housing. So if you had a situation where you were discriminated against and you feel like you need some resources, or you just want to be intellectually aware of what's going on in the community before you purchase your new first home, if you are a young adult, you can go ahead and go to the nationalfairhousing.org, nationalfairhousing.org, okay? This is the organization, First Generations Foundation is actually, it was a guide that you can read for Solutions. It's a guide to advancing equity with first-generation home ownership programs. At the National Housing Organization, we provide safe and supportive housing solutions specifically designed for women and teens facing housing insecurity. And so we know that there's a crisis with housing, but especially women. I'm passionate about that because I know that, especially if you're in a situation that you may have to vacate the premises, it could be anything. It could be an abusive situation. It could be somebody who's not taking care of you like you would like to be taken care of. It could be so many things, and we have more options. We have more options than just being a second wife, which is beautiful, if that's for you. But we want to make sure that we look at other solutions in our community that have evolved over time for people who may be needing a woman, specifically women, because we have a crisis even in our community, and we have a Muslim women's shelter here in Charlotte, and I know there is another one. But we have women who sometimes stay in situations that are not healthy because they don't have anywhere else to go, and they have their children, and they want their children to be taken care of. So this is a good organization for that. We provide safe and supportive housing solutions specifically designed for women and teens facing housing insecurity. And here's the website for that. Again, email me and I will give you these resources. And if you are a woman, married or not, you still need to be very keen and aware of the resources in society that help other women, because they are a vulnerable population, or we are a vulnerable population, whether we realize it or not. Even though we're educated, even though we are superwoman, we can raise our children, we can be great wives, we can do all that good. We can work in a community and volunteer our time, but we're still men are the maintainers and protectors of women for a reason. And if there is a flaw in that maintaining and protecting, you may need to have other resources available so you can build your self-esteem and your self-worth and not always have to depend on someone else in that space where you're healing or trying to move forward. Okay, and not just going to another situation. Okay. The next thing is family planning resources for birds relevance. And those of you who are part of Imam Worthy Muhammad Rahimullah Alay's community, we know that business, education, culture, and government are the 4 birds that he recommends for us to move forward to build those model communities. Yes, we need our own schools, we need our own businesses, we need some people in government representing us, and we need to create our own government or move from wherever we can do that. Yes, we do. We also need to have our own culture defined and of what we are going to move forward with. We don't want to be defined by the culture we see on TV, the reality shows, the cursing, the inappropriately dressed, bad representation of our intelligent, beautiful people. We want to have a culture that's defined with excellence, human excellence. And so we have to design and create that ourselves, from the TV shows we watch, to the events that we have, to the schools we send our children to, even to the social organizations that we like to frequent. We need to represent ourselves so our children can see that they are more than just entertainers. Okay, they're more than just basketball players, etc. Although they make great money, we know that, we're not knocking that, but they're also intellectuals. They're doctors, lawyers, they're inventors, right? You can do more than one thing in life. And so we don't want to play ourselves down and just be as somebody making money for other people all the time, when we have the opportunity to create and think outside the box, just like they do, and create our own model communities. Okay, and so we want to look again at marriage, children, values, and religion real quick. Okay, we're over, a little bit over. Okay, and then we're at our last slide. Marriage is a very good start if you're family planning. Okay, we know in Islam, okay, that Allah says that we are to marry, right? And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that those who do not marry are not of his sunnah, right? Why would he say something that serious? Because he knows that we're not going to be able to build a model community and continue our legacy, have children. We can do it, but do we want to do it in a way that's pleasing to Allah? Or do we want to do it the way that we're gonna just do it the way the world says it's okay to do it in some instances. Even the world has morals, but we don't want to do things the way that our limited free will allow us to do it, because those things have unforeseen consequences that lead to a lot of poverty. Sometimes it leads to children being out in the street, targeted by the police because dad's not there, mom's working, they're out with the guys, and pretty much most fathers tell their boys or sons not to hang out and drive around with a whole carload of guys after a certain age. You're just a target. You shouldn't just be hanging out with the fellows. You get up some age, you should be focused on certain things, and you're not hanging out, blasting music, just making yourself an easy target for the police officers. And that's just a small, simple example, but having a two-parent home keeps a lot of things out of the mix. Not saying it'd be perfect, but you have a better chance of educating your family and them being successful. We want to be able to advocate marriage. We want to be able to follow the proper channels. We're not just jumping in and out of marriage. We're going to be mature. The Quran gives us guidelines, but Allah expects us to use our intelligence. Like, for example, if you're using a GPS, it may say, at the stoplight, turn right. But you have some prior knowledge. You're going to know if the light's green or red, right? You're going to know certain things that you need to know prior to just turning right, right? And for example, if there's a stop sign, you're going to stop because that's prior knowledge. So the GPS doesn't exactly tell us every little step, but you're going to do it because you have prior knowledge, right? We're going to stop at the stop sign. We're going to make sure the light is the color appropriate for us to turn. If it says no turn on red, we're not going to do it just because the GPS told me to. That's not going to fly if the police pulls us over, right? And so similar to that, Allah gives us the Holy Quran, but he also gives us intellect. He gives us values, morals, discernment, and respect for ourselves. So we're going to do things in accordance with what he says and how we're supposed to do it. And inshallah, your marriage will be successful if you follow those protocols. Having a wali in most cases, especially if it's your first marriage, and making sure you take the time out to get to know people beyond what's presented, and build a relationship with Allah together, and then your marriage is most likely to work. Again, with children, they thrive better in a healthy home. Our values, again, are things that I didn't speak about that. It's on the last slide, but values are things that we hold dear, things that we deem important, like affordable housing, like opportunities to grow in career trades, as well as having that intellectual capacity to create your own business and do a lot of things behind the desk and network and expand your life that way, because that's very important too. We want to be able to do that, but we also want to have other opportunities to contribute to our lives without always outsourcing and depending on other people to do it for us. Our religion is key. We want to keep Allah first in all our endeavors, and we want to ask Allah for his blessings and his guidance in everything we do. Okay. Last but not least, it's time to go. Want to know if you have any questions really quickly, and then we're going to sign out of here. I do have an assessment. It's a family assessment of needs, and it's what are your values? How are you looking to focus on oneness or tawheed in your family? Because that also builds a tighter family unit. It also helps you stay together. If it's a situation that can be resolved, we encourage you to strive to stay married when you get married. And also we looked at worship. What does that look like? Providing for your family is worship. It's not always in the masjid, getting those rakats in, making that ta'wir, just doing things in the community, pushing that dawah. But how are you treating your family? Are you kind to your family? Are you kind to your husband, your wife? Are you making the house a home? If you're a woman, are you cooking as much as you can? And if not, do you have an agreement where you do it together, or you certain days you eat out? But making sure that you're keeping that peace in your household, because it's not just the physical structure that's going to make or break your family and have you have that life that you want, but it's also what you do on the inside. That's more important than anything. So make sure that you have that understanding that worship is just not outside. Charity begins at home. And everything we do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he expects us to do it in the home first, okay? Inshallah, if it's relevant. to growing and sustaining your family life. And the last thing is sincerity, being sincere. Only Allah can see our hearts, but when you're sincere about something, you consistently strive to be consistent in completing that task or improving on that task. So put your heart in it and ask Allah to bless you in your endeavors to provide for your family. And we look forward to talking with you again. And we thank you for joining us. I can be reached at Khalida Akbar, the number 10 at gmail.com, or contact also your local real estate agent. I have a very nice young lady who I have her information. I can share it with you if you need that. But again, she works through people because she likes to keep it as smooth as possible. And also she has some lenders, specifically 4 banks that she gave me that they only work through. And that's how a lot of these programs do. They only work with specific lenders, specific banks, and they get the job done. So thank you. We're going to close with a dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Oh Allah, grant us the excellence in this life and the excellence in the life of the hereafter, and protect us from the torment and the punishment of the hellfire. Ameen. Questions or comments? All right, so let me check the chat and see about how many people. We have about 8 participants, and I'm going to go ahead and look at who's here. I see, right?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sister Martha Naila. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Wonderful, wonderful. I had to kind of improvise and allow the Zoom individuals that are on AM 360 end. We normally are connecting with William Kareem with the New Day for Al Islam Community Radio. But as they're playing the juice, and we had the blessings of hearing the juice earlier, so yes, we were able to connect. And I'm going to see if anyone have any questions or just comments in the short term. By the time we got ourselves connected to you,
yes, ma'am.
Alhamdulillah, we are thankful to be here. So, those of you who can hear me on our, you can hear me clearly. Okay. If you have any questions or comments, just to Khalida and her presentation that you did here, please, by all means, give her the greetings.
Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for attending. I know it's the first day of Ramadan, but I'm going to be committing myself to doing more charity. And this is one way that you can give more charity. You can take down
right there. You're a little muffled. Are you moving around? No, you're not moving around.
I'm muffled. So, okay.
Yeah, there, you're clearer there.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, alhamdulillah, I was just saying that this is an opportunity for you to do some dialogue. You can give some of this information out to somebody who may need it, or also, we're innovative as Muslims. What we usually do, we hear something, we want to create our own, or we want to look at ways that we can develop that in our community at any level, micro, meso, and macro levels. So you can start by, maybe getting together with people in your community and looking at establishing maybe some type of apartments or housing that is affordable in our communities. I know many of us are sitting on property that we haven't started breaking ground on, and we have acres of land. We definitely need to look at the housing crisis in America. Many people have opted to, there's people who are starting to move out of the country and get dual citizenship. I know my son was saying he may be looking at Japan, and I know there's Muslims and young adults moving to different countries.
Okay. Go ahead.
But there's other options for us. But however, those of us who choose to stay here in the United States, we don't want our children to have to be at the liberty or the mercy of other people who, of course, are going to look out for themselves and their families first, because that's what Allah instructs us to do. So we're going to have to take some accountability, and we're going to have to do things a little bit different. Well, a lot different in regards to providing building sustainable family and community life. Yes, ma'am, Martha, Sister Martha Naila.
Yes. Yes, my question is in relation to what you just stated about the children. As we and everyone, I'll share with you that I'll be presenting next week, inshallah. And on the generational wealth, with that thinking, and I would love to hear more about the benefits of dual citizenship so that we don't lose what we do have
Mm-hmm.
here in America, and not abandon the process of making generational wealth become a reality.
Yes, ma'am. And that's a great question. I know that we all know we've been in this country for years, and we're still striving for excellence. We have a lot of degree people. We have a lot of people who have their own businesses. We even have doctors and lawyers, etc. We have several people who have made it famous, basketball stars, entertainers. However, when it comes down to it, we are basically still not at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, but we don't have the respect that we deserve. And we'll see that when something goes down. And we don't want to continue to place ourselves in harm's way just to try to get something that we feel is owed to us. But we can create our own. And I understand what you're saying as far as generational wealth. We don't want to just abandon ship. But I do encourage everybody to look at your situation, your value system. What do you want for your family? And again, right now, the young adults are at a different space. They're like, listen, they've seen us struggle all these years, right? And they know that they've seen a lot of great people accomplish a lot of things, and they're losing hope, not hope, but they just don't trust the system that we're in. Because they looking at what happened. I mean, really, they said, well, listen, look what we have again. And people are showing them who they are. And it's just, can't get any plainer than that. You still get voted in. So, and I don't want to get into politics right now.
You're
But
right.
that's their perspective is, listen, they're not stupid. They're very educated, and they're looking at their young children. They're like, listen, I want to raise my children somewhere where it's safe. And I know that they're going to have an opportunity to grow and be their best self. And we don't want to look over our heads, have to watch over our shoulder, have people get into positions of leadership and they can take us all straight to you know where, because we're over in other countries doing things we shouldn't do. Those things are, we don't want to be on the wrong side. So we got to look at the whole picture and look at what's fighting for. Allah says this earth is spacious, right? And he says that he will provide for us if we are weak and oppressed in the land. So I support both viewpoints. I know I was talking to Imam Shahid Abdullah, and he's very adamant about culture and about staying here and getting what we deserve. And mashallah, he can probably speak for himself, and I understand that point of view too. I understand, we put in the work, we built the country, so to speak, and we shouldn't have to be treated like second-class citizens in order to have that success. And we may not all feel it the same because there's different disparities in income levels and opportunities and family status, etc. But know that we want for our brother and sister what we want for ourselves. And at the end of the day, when things go awry, we seem to get it worse than anyone else, no matter what, whether it's COVID, whether it's a housing crisis, whether it's we get it worse. And we know that. So it's not anything new. But definitely look at what your value system is and what you would like to do with your life, and then move accordingly. Dual citizenship, I know they were talking about that when COVID first hit at the masjid when I went there, and these were our young adults. And they were like, oh, get out of here. They're trying to, there were some things they were saying in their thought processes. But however, I do know there's stipulations on that, and you have to be in a country a certain amount of time to get it, but just start traveling and looking at those resources. We don't have to be in the dark. There's other people of other races that do it all the time. And many of them have been doing it for years. And when we had the business conference last year, the brothers from Senegal, he was telling us that he sees everybody over there, every other race is over there, starting businesses and taking advantage of it, but us. And one of the things he talked about is, again, that disparity. I'm sorry, I can't have any more right now. But that disparity, that disparity where he said that they, we have the different viewpoints of one another. We've been told things that aren't true about each other. And we need to be able to build relationships with our brothers and sisters in Africa, just like everybody else is doing. They may tell us that this is all they show us is the poor countries and all the poverty and the illnesses there, but there's a lot of beautiful places over there that every other race is over there making it big. Is that basically is what he said. And they want to came here strategically to do business with us and through the
And-
business conference. Yes, ma'am.
And
Go ahead.
and the us is
Oh, they were coming for Imam Warfi Muhammad Rahimahullah's community. They were at one of our events. It's not exclusively, of course, for African Americans, because I do know that this platform is for everyone, but they're looking at us because just like you have an endangered species, they're saying they don't see us over there like in the numbers that they see the other people. So they're opening up an invitation. That's why they've been traveling back and forth and trying to build relationships, because they would like us to have those same benefits over there and as well as them. There's benefits in it for them. You know, we have people who are educated, we have things that they may not have access to, that we can also interchange and exchange with them, just like everyone else.
okay. One last question. And I appreciate it so much. I appreciate the conversation
Yes.
because it does allow us to put on our thinking cap and to assess.
Mhm.
And that's where I am is how to perform an assessment. And as the Imam Warthi Muhammad Rahimahullah addressed the new people been a situation, then being a new people. And being a new people comes with a lot of factors, beneficial factors, such as, and the benefit is stopping, standing in place and assessing, you know, I'm here, who am I, what am I? And if I take my gifts, I just put it that way, take my gifts and just relocate somewhere, where am I being that new people in relation to those that are not aware of, have gone through the same atrocities in this country, and then to, I don't know why, but I'm thinking like dropping on the doorstep of, like becoming an orphan in another country. So I'm saying, the true exploration of assessing the globe and what is amenable to developing an entire, I mean, to see years to come, but an entire new area, as the explorers did in the day, since we're a new people, then that new exploration.
Excellent question. Excellent question. If we all
Assalamu-
abandon ship, go ahead.
No,
Walaikum
assalamu
assalam.
alaikum. I just
Alaikum
wanted to
assalam.
want to interject something based on Sister Martha's questions. So if you wanted to move to Senegal, say if you wanted to move to Ghana, if you wanted to have dual citizenship there, you would talk to the people who are in charge of the country. So you would go and you would talk to the Senegalese embassy, somebody in the Senegalese embassy, who would tell you exactly the process and the steps that you needed to take if you wanted to do business there. Did you have to come with a certain amount of money? Do you have to commit yourself to be there for a certain number of months or years? What are the costs for licenses? What types of businesses as a foreigner before you attain the dual citizenship are you allowed to start and to operate in that country? Those types of things. So all that information is available to all of us if we're looking at making a move because we're disappointed in the United States or we simply want other options and those type of things. So I'm great with all of that. The great question that you asked, Sister Martha, that you kind of intimated was, I'm going to go somewhere basically like you said as an orphan. They don't know me, and I don't know them, and that's, you could be moving to Singapore, Muslim country. You could be moving to Pakistan, Muslim country. You could be moving to Malaysia, Muslim country, Senegal, predominantly Muslim country. You could be moving any of those places. You don't know the culture there. And you would have to adapt to that. They don't know you and the culture that you come from, which, believe it or not, is different than their culture. You don't speak French. Luckily, they do speak some English. Their predominant language there is French. So you would have to consider all those things. But the more important thing to me would be, what am I taking there? Say, other than my knowledge base. When the young man who came from Senegal to talk to us at the business conference and those type things, who wants to have the business interaction with us, what products do we make in the United States that we are going to take to Senegal and sell in that marketplace? What do we make here? What's the beginning of us having a capital base here that we can export to the rest of the world? Are we giving up on that? Are we abandoning that? Do we not think of that? So to be able to really go to, I'm talking about embody, any individual can just pop up and go anywhere. Maybe it's a man and a wife. They can just pop up and go anywhere. And if they're educated, they'll probably find some utility in wherever they land that will allow them to survive, maybe even thrive. But an entire community, or say a family with young children that they have to support, it does take some preparation if you're going to do it correctly. The other thing I will say is this, as far as us and capital and having money to do things and being in the United States, if you had $500 loose in August of 2020, and you invested that money in NVIDIA, a company that is run by an Asian man in the United States, and you just left that money alone, today that $500 would be $6,000. And there are hundreds of similar stories. And the people that we kind of look up to and think that they're so smart, whether they be European Americans, Asian Americans, whoever, that's all they do. They're no smarter than us. They're no more capable than we are. They just understand how capital works and how you create it. To have it, to be able to buy land, build buildings, create factories, buy whole businesses that are already producing, and do other things with it, like maybe now sell to Senegal, or have a processing plant in Senegal for your raw goods, and now you send your raw goods to Senegal and you actually produce it there and distribute all over Africa and Europe. The creation of capital is the biggest difference. And ownership in what our ancestors bled and died for, the creation of these massive companies and this massive capital enterprise that is the United States of America. If we understand that and invest in it, we will grow the capital to do everything that we need here and anywhere else that we want to land. And I'll stop there. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Sister Martha, for that excellent question, that thought-provoking question, because like I said, I know a lot of young adults, that's what they're doing and that's what they're talking about, but definitely the ones that have the resources to do it. Some of them already have those resources and they have the ability to, inshallah, duplicate that when they move, if they choose to go ahead and move to another country. I know a young lady who told me, I hadn't seen her in a while, she makes clothes and she's originally from Philadelphia. She came here years ago, but she's comes to our masjid every now and again because she's also, her husband goes to different masjids. But to make a long story short, her and her husband recently moved to Egypt. She said she can fit 2 or 3 of her houses. The house she has in Egypt, she can fit it in the house she has here in Charlotte 3 times. But she said everybody, it's a lot of African Americans over there. She said you would love it. The food is good, everything's halal. She said even the McDonald's is halal. I thought that was so funny. But she said it's so much richer. She said we're not eating real food. And people are not really uptight. Everybody's comfortable because people are not living above their means. Life is easier. And I know her husband worked from home here. I don't know exactly what he does, but obviously they have the resources. The people who have the resources and the wherewithal to move, they are not just waiting on something to happen in this country. They're not keeping all their eggs in one basket. Let's put it that way. So let's make sure that we're also growing our resources so we can have options, because really this is not, it doesn't seem to be a stable environment to me. And I don't really watch a whole lot of nonsense on the news and everything, but I do read, and I do know that from what I see, and I know Allah's always in control, that it doesn't add up. And people are not doing things the right way, morally upright, or whatever. They're doing it what they want to do, how they want to do it, and they're only thinking about themselves. And so Allah says to pay attention to the signs. So we need to be doing something in addition to sitting on over here in the United States waiting for opportunities that come up, because we've had opportunities before. And as soon as we get something, it's a problem. Like the Black Wall Street, when we start coming up financially and doing things as a whole, they don't care if it's individualized, but when we start uniting, it's a problem. It's more of a problem than any other race. There's fear that goes into that. There's a perception of somebody trying to get back, and we're not even like that. But so we can't just move like this. We're on equal standards with other people, because it shows us even in what happened with the police. You know, it's just, to me, it's just the handwriting on the wall. And I think that we definitely need to move differently as Muslims and as African Americans and as our Caucasian brothers and sisters, our European brothers and sisters, our Latino brothers and sisters. I'm not excluding them at all. I do know that there are a lot of good people who don't uphold wrong of all races, and they do what they're supposed to do, and they help their neighbors, and they give to humanity, and they serve Allah, and they serve their creator however they choose to. We're not saying they're bad, but we have to look at ourselves and what we're dealing with and have been dealing with for centuries. And we have to do something different. Our children don't want to, they don't want to have to go through the same thing we went through. You know, that's why they have so much rise up and protesting. And they're tired of just turning the other cheek. That's what it appears to look like to them. I know they know we did more than just turning the other cheek, but we haven't made the strides that we could have made had we had our own institutions, our own model communities, and we put too much investment into what I see. Everybody will be trying to live the American dream and assimilating with people that are not, living Islamic lifestyles, number one, and they don't have the same value systems. Their money, corporate America pretty much has, I know they do a lot of good, but pretty much this country is a capitalist country. We got to start talking some real talk, and we got to look at what it is. And just because you're rich or whatever, or your house is up on a hill, it doesn't mean that you're only as good as your people. Okay. And that's how the world sees us. You're never gonna get away from being with your people in that category. So we have to want for our brother and sister what we want for ourselves, and we have to build our community from the inside out, morally first, because Allah says He will not change the condition of a people till we change within ourselves. We have to accept accountability for the lifestyles we choose to live, trying to mimic other people and trying to live their type of lifestyles and thinking that's all it is to life, because we have a inferiority complex, or we don't know who we are, so we're trying to be like everybody else. And it's just not gonna cut it. So we're gonna get off of here. Thank you so much, Sister.
That was wonderful. Starting right there, inshallah, is ditching the inferiority complex. How to, and inshallah, next week, inshallah, included. If I may make that pitch, Falida, right now.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, next week, inshallah, the in doing research, and I definitely don't claim to know any more probably than anyone else. What I have been looking at, and next week, inshallah, will be around fulfilling all obligations. And under that will come the assessment tools. And we are the 3-in-1. I'll leave it right there. We are the
Yes.
3-in-1. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you. I'm so looking forward to tuning in. Those of you who are here, bring a friend. There's going to be some powerful information given by Sister Martha Nyla, who is the Executive Director of American Muslim 360.
No, CWSC.
Why do I keep saying American? You know where, because it's symbol, right? CWSC, which is the partner. Did you say partnership or the parent company of
Parent company.
American Muslim 360? Thank you. I keep saying that because I'm working with both sides, but Sister Martha actually works with both sides, but she is specifically the Executive Director of CWSC. She's doing a phenomenal job, so you don't miss out because she has a lot of wealth of information she's going to share. All right, that's it for today. And join us next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Thank you all so much.
You're welcome. Brother Edward, can you make sure that we get everything in the chat? Because I want to send out this information to people.
Well, it should be there. It'll all be in the recording. So there's there'll be a text file that will include the stuff that's in the chat, but also the meeting notes, same as we get on Sunday.
Okay.
Those entire meeting notes will be published as well. So if you want to, once the meeting notes come up and you have them, you might want to send the meeting notes out along with your slide information to everybody that participated and anybody else that you want to have that, whether they were on this morning or not. You'll have the ability to do that.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
And the recording itself, it probably, I haven't checked yet. It's probably on YouTube, but if it's not already on YouTube, it will be on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, mashallah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We can
No
end
problem.
Zoom whenever
All right.
we're ready.
All right. Walaikum salam.